Unemployed immigrants are costing the British taxpayer £8.5 billion a year. Many of them aren't even looking for a job. A record 1.6 million non-UK nationals are either unemployed or economically inactive has just emerged. And this figure doesn't include foreign students or asylum seekers, apparently. So let that sink in. We are obviously a soft touch. And just to emphasise what a soft touch we are, check this out. In Germany, a Syrian asylum seeker allegedly stabbed 3 people to death at a festival of diversity. Now, the German leader has decided to cut all asylum seeker welfare payments, instead just giving them a bed, bread and soap if they flout EU immigration rules. So in Britain, though, we've had numerous attacks by asylum seekers like Ahmed Alid, who travelled through around 13 other countries before we decided to take him in. He stabbed an elderly man to death to avenge Palestinian deaths. That was in Hartlepool. So what is this Labour government thinking of doing now, then? Getting you, the taxpayer, to pay for people to leave voluntarily. Now, Yvette Cooper has supposedly launched the Home Office reintegration programme, which means people from Albania, Bangladesh, Ethiopia, Ghana, India, Iraq, Jamaica, Nigeria, Pakistan, Vietnam and Zimbabwe will be given free accommodation, help getting a job, cash, care and food packages if they agree to go home. The Home Office has budgeted 15 million quid for this, so I suspect it will end up costing us a heck of a lot more. Oh, and if they haven't got their documents, which, you know, let's be honest, well, we'll help them get new ones, won't we? So I do wonder, what message does this send out? So if you come to Britain legally, you can have a life on the dole. And if you come to Britain illegally, you can get everything paid for. And if you decide that you want to leave because it's not quite worked out for you, then we'll pay for that as well. Well, I mean, I can't wait for Labour to tell us about that economic black hole again. And let's get the thoughts of my panel this evening. I am, of course, joined by the ex-BBC and ITV political top dog, John Sargent, businesswoman Joanna Jarju, and political commentator Alex Armstrong. John, should we pay illegal migrants to leave?
Yeah, if you can, I think you can now do it on all the areas that you can by encouraging people to leave if it suits them and if you can support them. People can't decide whether or not. Make sure that illegal immigrants can't work, because that'll prove to them that it's not worth emigrating in this way to Britain. Or what we're going to do now is to make sure they can work. I mean, what you've got to do is try and have an orderly system. First of all, make sure that you have a proper hearing as to whether they've got asylum or not, then what the options are. Now, some of them will want to return voluntarily to their country because, in fact, it won't have worked out as well in Britain as they thought. In which case, you save a lot of money, because you'd save a lot of money if they agree. Rwanda cost enormous sums of money, and they wouldn't even have their system resolved until they got there. So the idea that this is somehow wrong to say to people, look, would it help you to return to your country, and it will therefore mean it'll be cheaper for us? That seems pretty straightforward.
Yeah, well, you say it's straightforward, but I think it's almost like we're paying twice, aren't we? Because we're paying for people to come here, we're paying for the ones who do decide to stay, and we're also going to pay for the ones who decide to leave.
Yeah, it's another slap in the face for working class people, isn't it? Our taxes are going up, we're at an all-time high, we've got cost of living at all-time high, we've got energy bills going up, but there's people, as you rightfully said in your intro, Patrick, that are going to come here for free, get bed and bread for free, get a job for free. You're better off leaving this country, chucking your passport in the water and pretending you're from somewhere else. That's a massive slap in the face to British people. And then it's an incentive to come to the UK, not a deterrent. And what people want is a strong policy to deter people, not a weak one where we hand out more cash.
We're paying £8.5 billion quid, it sounds like, Joanna, for legal migrants who aren't working or even in some cases looking for work.
No, but for the legal migrants and for people who are granted refugee status, there's a lot of kind of myth of what these people actually get. You know, they get on benefits is apparently another myth, or they get housing and they're at the front of the queue and all of this. I think that a lot of that is just absolute rubbish. And when you actually compare it to the 700 million that we were spent, this is 15 million. And I'm not saying that that's not a large amount of money, but it's no different different to when, you know, we give overseas aid budget as well, to make sure that when people go back to these countries, that they are actually in a position to kind of stay there. There's nothing to say that somebody might not, you know, come through a boat one time and then another time decide, OK, actually, next time I'm going to come through a lorry or something like that. In the grand scheme of things, yes, obviously it's difficult to kind of bite the bullet and suck it up, basically, and say that we're going to pay twice,
you're shaking
like you
your
said.
head, Alex,
Because the reality is this policy's doomed, isn't it? It's not going to work. Those people have come to this country because they want to get out of the country they've come from, pretending we're going to pay to send them back, and then what, they'll do it again? Why did they leave in the first place if it was so great? You know, this is the
some
point.
Of them
You're
will.
Not going to send
some
them
of them will, some of them won't.
The vast majority of them won't, John.
No, what you can't do is to guess the whole time.
Yeah.
Try it. Try all sorts of things.
We
Try
weren't
and
saying
break
that
the
about
gangs.
Rwanda, were we? We weren't saying try Rwanda out.
No.
We were saying
Rwanda wouldn't have worked.
Give them some money. That's great. Yeah,
no, Alex,
perfect.
Rwanda, you know perfectly well that Rwanda wouldn't have worked.
And I'm saying this won't work either. And that's the thing, right? So
No,
because,
hold on a moment. If somebody says yes, and there's a system by which they can receive help in order to return home, and they agree to it voluntarily, not because they've been tortured, not because they've done this or that, but simply say, would this help you? Well, it would save a lot of money.
Well, you're right, but Rwanda would have saved a lot of money as well, and it certainly
no, it wouldn't have worked.
No,
Joanna, has Germany got it right? Because if we do this, if we pay 15 million, it's going to be loads more than that, but whatever. If we pay 15 million quid to repatriate people, essentially, what we're also doing in the meantime is also giving them quite a comprehensive benefit system as well. So Germany has decided that in the wake of the latest attack over there, they are going to withdraw all welfare payments, apparently, and it's just going to be, they've described it as bed, bread and soap. So should we not be doing that in the meantime as well?
No, I mean, OK, look, it's 15 million, and like I said, it sounds like a really big number, and you're acting as if we're basically paying for a benefit system in another country, as if, like, people are just going to be, you know, fed and watered for years. And, no, they're not. It's for a very, very short amount of time, and it's just to make sure that people actually get on their feet. So, obviously, it adds up to 15 million.
But
like I said, in the grand scheme of things...
pay for this, Joanna? This is the question Brits want to know. Why do we have to pay for this?
Because it's a practical answer. It's a practical plan.
The practical answer
no,
is...
Otherwise, if you say no, but if you say no the whole time, and wouldn't it be a good idea perhaps to torture these people? What's happening in Germany?
No one wants that.
Nobody wants that.
We just want them to show that the quality of life they're getting isn't going to be free.
I know, but look, if you can persuade people and they agree, what is wrong with that?
Yeah, the easiest way of getting people to actually leave in an orderly way is, like, for it to be voluntary. So, like, even for people who have, like, overstayed their visa, I'm not talking about people who have come through boats, but actually, even just overall with the migration system, it's easier to do it, like John said, in an orderly fashion, where all you're doing is helping them for a very short amount of time.
I can't help but wonder if they're more likely to do that if they don't actually have a decent enough situation here as it is. I mean, we've got a story coming up later on. It's in the next hour, which is, you know, it's a big story. It's a sign of things to come, unfortunately. I think it's a place here in Wales where it's a small village, and they are basically building a purpose-built set of houses for asylum seekers. The locals say they were lied to about that, OK? So if they know that that's around the corner, why would anyone voluntarily decide, oh, you know what, all right, I am going to go back to Zimbabwe?
They won't, will they? You just look at the raft of policies Starmer's planning to help people that aren't British, that have come here illegally, and we're going to... I mean, we've just scrapped the rules saying that British people won't get social housing first. And the rule passed that, which says we will scrap the rule that says terrorists won't get social housing. This is madness. This is nuts. The British people want pragmatism, for sure, right? But they also want sensible policies that are going to address illegal immigration first, and then dress people off who are legally here.
Well, so that's the second point. So John, on that then, the legal numbers that came out today, so about 1.6 million people who are here legally who are not working or not looking for work, OK? So that adds up to around £8.5 billion as a bill to the taxpayer. I mean, Nigel Farage earlier on said the economic case for migration has been lost. Would you
No, I agree with that. It's a shambles. It's a complete shambles at the moment. You have no proper system. People's hearings can't be completed because there are, 600,000 or 700,000 people. No. But the whole system, you arrive, it's not at all clear why the people who are running these boats, for example, why can't they be arrested for organising illegal immigration? No, for some reason, they all arrive, and these people then presumably go back onto the continent to take another group of people people. The whole idea of it.
I think
those are people who haven't arrived on boats, though, a lot of them. I think they are people who have got a visa to stay, so they might have come with a job and then...
Well, so who's at the tiller? Who is there making sure that the boat, even if it's a shambles, even if some people have been killed travelling across the channel, somebody must be in charge of that boat.
The key thing to acknowledge is that even depending on whether it's illegal or legal migration, a lot of the times people come and they end up being destitute as well. They end up being left destitute. And to actually lift yourself out of poverty and actually get a job is...
You know, I have no problem with helping people who've tried to come and make a life here for good reasons. You know, I'm mostly against illegal immigrants coming over to the country and exploiting a system which they are aware they're exploiting, most of the time young men mostly coming over here for work. But for people who've come legally to the country, of course we should try and help them. There's nothing wrong with that.
OK, all right, guys, look, thank you very, very much. A lively start.